All right, so today we are really diving into some deep waters, folks.
Yeah,
With David Bohm's Wholeness in the Implicate Order.
it's a big one.
It's a big one. This book has been hailed by, like, Resurgence magazine as, and I quote, one of the most important books of our
It's a
time.
really fascinating look
So no pressure
how we understand reality.
at all. But luckily, you've got us here to break it down.
Yeah, what we're really going to try to unpack here is this completely different way of seeing reality.
Yeah.
Bohm, he comes at this whole thing by challenging the idea that the universe is like a giant machine, you know?
Right, like gears and cogs and all.
Yeah, all gears and cogs, separate parts.
Yeah.
Instead of that whole picture, he introduces this concept of the hollow movement.
Hollow, okay, I gotta admit, that has piqued my interest.
Yeah.
It already sounds so much more dynamic
I
than,
think
like,
so.
the universe I learned about back in, high school physics. So what is it exactly?
So imagine this. Instead of just thinking about separate parts interacting, like a machine, Bohm sees the universe as this interconnected web of energy that's constantly flowing and changing.
Mm.
So everything's woven together, kind of like a giant tapestry, right? Where
Yeah.
even the tiniest little thread is going to affect the whole pattern.
Okay, yeah. I can see how that's a pretty big shift from the way that, we're sort of conditioned to think about things in our everyday lives. And so is this where this whole implicate order idea comes into play?
Exactly. I mean, it's all connected. Bohm, he uses this analogy, and it's a really helpful one, of a droplet of ink being stirred into something thick, like, say, honey.
Okay, yeah. I'm picturing it. So go on, go on.
So at first, you see the ink as this separate thing, right?
Right.
But then as you stir, it starts to stretch out and kind of seems to vanish.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still there. It just kind of blended in.
Right.
And so that's what Bohm says is happening with, like, all of reality. What we see as these separate objects, they're actually just moments in this constant flow of, like, emerging from and then merging back into this deeper hidden order.
Oh, okay. So it's like, how do I put this? It's like when there's a memory that you think you've completely forgotten about,
Right,
but then it suddenly influences how you react to something in the present moment.
Yeah, totally.
Like it was always there, just hidden beneath the surface.
Exactly. And that is the implicate order at work.
Wow.
And this is where it gets really wild. So this enfolding and unfolding, it's not just happening in these, 3 dimensions that we experience.
Right.
Bohm suggests it's actually taking place in multiple dimensions. And that's what creates this incredibly complex and interconnected reality.
Whoa. Okay, so multiple dimensions. So we're not just talking about a swirling ink droplet here. We're talking about like a swirling ink droplet happening on levels that we can't even perceive.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, no wonder people call this stuff mind-bending.
It definitely stretches the imagination for sure.
Yeah.
But I think to really get a grasp on the implications of all this, we need to move beyond the ink analogy
Okay.
and talk about another analogy that Bohm uses, the hologram.
Ah, the hologram. Okay, yeah. Always a crowd pleaser. So let's switch gears from ink to holograms for a minute. What makes holograms such a good analogy for Bohm's ideas?
Well, you know how with a hologram, every single piece contains information about the whole image.
Right.
Like if you were to cut a hologram in half,
Yeah.
you wouldn't just get half a picture. You'd still get
To get the whole thing.
the whole thing, just maybe a little fuzzier.
Yeah, like those holographic stickers where it's like no matter how many times you peel off a layer, the same image is underneath.
Exactly.
It's kind of wild.
It is wild. And that's kind of how Bohm sees the universe, like this giant multi-dimensional hologram where every part,
Wow.
even the seemingly empty space, contains the blueprint for the whole shebang.
So instead of thinking about things being like located in a specific spot, like over there or right here,
Yeah.
right, with this holographic idea, it's more like every point in space is also connected to every other point.
Yeah, you got it.
Whoa.
It's a tough one to visualize, but like, imagine this distance might be more about how we're perceiving this holographic projection than about actual separation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then that throws our usual ideas about like cause and effect totally out the window.
For sure.
Because if everything is ultimately connected through this implicate order,
Yeah.
does that mean that like our choices, our actions have this ripple effect that we can't even comprehend?
Now you're getting to the heart of it.
Whoa.
This model that Bohm is proposing, it challenges us to consider that even the smallest events could have these far-reaching consequences that we might never be able to trace directly.
It's both humbling and kind of terrifying at the same time,
Right.
but also incredibly exciting. because
Yeah.
it suggests that there's so much more to reality than we can currently perceive.
Exactly. And this is where Bohm's ideas get really intriguing, because he believed that just like you can use a laser beam to reveal a 3D image from a flat hologram,
Right.
there might be other ways, other lenses, as it were, that could allow us to tap into this deeper, multidimensional reality.
Okay, so are we talking like meditation psychedelics, building our own lasers in the basement?
Well,
What kind of lenses are we talking about here?
Bohm was particularly interested in the role of consciousness.
Okay.
He didn't see it as something separate from this implicate order, but rather as like an integral part of it.
Hold on, so you're saying our minds aren't just these passive observers in this holographic universe,
Yeah,
but like active participants shaping the very fabric of reality.
that's the idea.
Whoa.
Remember that analogy of the flowing music?
Yeah.
Bohm believed our experience of reality is similar, a constant unfolding of the implicate order, this dance between consciousness and the cosmos.
So in a way, are we all like mini holograms, each reflecting the whole universe, but also shaping it with our thoughts, our actions, our very existence? I mean, this is kind of blowing my mind a little bit, to be honest.
Yeah.
If we're all part of this incredible, interconnected hologram,
Right.
constantly shaping and being shaped by it,
Yeah.
I mean, what does that even mean for how we understand our place in the universe?
That's the million-dollar question, right? And to be honest, I think Bohm would probably say it's less about finding like these definitive answers
Right.
and more about like just embracing the mystery of it all. Like
Yeah.
his work really encourages us to question really everything we think we know,
Right.
to really push beyond the boundaries of how we currently understand things.
So are we saying then that everything we thought we knew about the universe is like wrong?
Not necessarily wrong,
Okay.
but maybe incomplete.
Yeah.
We have to remember that even our most like sophisticated scientific models,
Right.
they're really just glimpses through a very specific lens.
Okay.
And Bohm is suggesting that there's this much grander, much more complex reality out there waiting to be discovered.
So it's like we've been looking at this 2D map, convinced it's the whole picture.
Right, exactly.
And Bohm comes along and says, hey, there's a whole other dimension to this thing,
Yeah,
which is, it's exciting,
Yeah.
but also a little daunting.
for sure, for sure.
So, okay, so then what about, this whole thing about cosmology then, this study of like the universe's origin and evolution.
Right, yeah.
We have the Big Bang, the expanding universe, all that.
Yeah,
But Bohm's ideas suggest that maybe these are just pieces.
yeah, just pieces of a much larger cosmic puzzle.
Oh, okay. So instead of like a single Big Bang, are we talking about like infinite universes like nested within each other? Like
What?
those Russian dolls where you open one and there's just another one inside and another
That's
one.
one possibility, yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe these universes, and I'm doing air quotes here.
Yeah,
Maybe they're not actually separate at all.
right.
But like different facets of the same underlying reality, constantly interacting and influencing each other through this implicate order.
Okay, my head is officially spinning. But I have to ask this too then because, okay, if reality is this dynamic,
Right.
interconnected process, this dance between consciousness and the cosmos, then what does that mean for things like free will,
Right.
or creativity, even just like the nature of change itself?
I mean, those are the big questions.
Right.
And I really think Bohm would say those are exactly the questions we need to be asking.
Okay.
He doesn't give us any easy answers.
Right.
But he gives us this completely new framework, this new way of seeing the world and our place in it.
Well, I don't know about you, but I definitely feel like I need to sit with this for a bit, let it all sink in.
Yeah, for sure.
David Bohm's Wholeness in the Implicate Order, folks.
The big one.
Definitely a deep dive in every sense of the word.
And that is what we aim for here on The Deep Dive.
There you go.
Equipping you with the knowledge and the tools
Tools you need.
to keep exploring these ideas long after the episode ends.
That is right. So until next time, keep those minds open and curious. Happy diving, everyone.